Welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. I am your host, Ryan Hartley. This channel exists to inspire and encourage your heart-centered leadership. Each week, I share interviews with some of the greatest heart-centered leaders in the world. I hope our time spent together helps you leave a heartprint where those around you are left better than yesterday. Please visit abty.co.uk if you would like us in your corner. These interview sessions are brought to you by Matt Media Online Marketing, an independent agency who specialise in content marketing, helping business owners get their message seen by the right audience. If you want to get your business seen through the power of social media, head to mattmedia.online. On episode 220, I am joined by Olga Skalska. Olga is the founder of Move&Grow, Embodied Psychology and Coaching. Move&Grow is a consulting company with the mission to move individuals and organizations towards sustainable growth. Olga helps clients with stress, overwhelm, and burnout so that they can create more meaningful and fulfilling lives. It's a great conversation. It's one that is going to inspire your embodiment. It is episode 220 with Olga Skalska. Olga, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much.
We've been connected. Yeah, we've been connected a little while, and I'm glad to have this conversation today. You and I both are psychologists at heart.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit extra to your psychology stuff that you talk about: move and grow, embodied psychology and coaching. Let's start there. What does it mean to have embodied psychology and coaching with this thing called move and grow?
Oh, that's a long story. So I'll try to be brief.
That's okay. No need to be brief. Let's go back to the beginning.
So yeah, I finished psychology as a degree in 2014. But then I decided I'm not going to go that direction because I've been working in leadership in a big corporation. And I was studying full time and then working full time, and that led to a massive burnout in 2014-15. And I didn't feel connected to being psychologist, like to work as a psychologist in the clinical setting. And I kind of I had a craving to explore the world and to look for who I really am, because I felt like I'm living a life that's not mine, that it was designed by school, by my parents, by society. And I followed all the steps, and I've been trying to prove my worth for 25 years. And it only led me to burnout, exhaustion, anxiety, insomnia, and so on. So I needed to move, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I needed to move from that life. And in 2015, I booked one-way ticket to Spain. And I moved physically, but I also started moving emotionally and energetically. I started to learn a bit more about myself, about who I am, about what I want. And that's how the journey started. And then I had so I lived in Spain for a couple of months, and then in the meantime I got accepted to the university in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go, because I didn't know what I wanted back then. I was just open to possibilities, and I wanted to open doors for myself. And I landed in Denmark, and the life was way different than what I expected. But I started studying, and I started working again, and learning different things, working in a completely different environment, because it was not office. It was more service and leadership in operations of bars, venues, and stuff like that. Because I was working mostly part-time. But I repeated a pattern of overworking myself and of proving my worth, because I was in a new country. I was an immigrant. I was looking for that approval, that belonging in the new place, and establishing life. It was very stressful, and I was in survival mode. I entered survival mode. So it led again to a burnout. When I graduated in 2017, I was lost again, and I again had struggled with a lot of anxiety, insomnia. I struggled with lack of sense of purpose. And I decided, okay, I'm going to Spain. I need to clear up my mind. I need to actually not work for some time. So I went to Spain, and I was doing some volunteering. I've been around fantastic community. It was sunny. It was good for my body to be in a different setting and to give myself time to explore. And that's how I encountered Groove, which is a dance method that I teach now. Through very random networking event, I found out about the Groove, the World Groove movement, and I signed up for a course that was in 2 months in Copenhagen, 2 streets from my flat.
Yeah.
And that was like a sign. I was like, no, this is a sign. You need to do that. You need to sign up. This sounds like you. So briefly about Groove, because not everyone knows what it is. Groove is a fun, easy, interactive group dance experience where when we connect in 2-3 simple steps, and the style of the song, different genres of music, and we self-express. So we get out of our busy heads and overthinking, and we get into the body, we get into the feelings, and we are getting out of past or future. We get in the present moment to actually feel what's happening, and feel our bodies, and bring that awareness to our feelings, and self-express whatever needs to be whatever we need to let out. So Groove is all about self-expression, not nailing a certain move. It's not a choreography. We are dancing our hearts out, literally. And it's super liberating. And I was sold just by 2 sentences that the woman at networking event said she's a Groove facilitator. And I'm like, what is that? And then she said, it's like you dance to a song, but you do it in a group. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to know what's that. Because I always loved dancing, but I couldn't remember any choreography. So I failed at any possible dance class. And I thought I just don't have talent, so I'm just going to dance on my own at home. And then I found out about Groove, and that was a turning point in my life, because I came back to Denmark. I did my my certification, and that was a profound piece of my healing, because suddenly I opened Pandora box of everything that I've been suffocating inside of my body, because suddenly I used my body as a vessel for self-expression, and I accessed all the feelings that I've been suppressing for all my life, and not even my feelings, but also my ancestral traumas and feelings that have been suppressed for so long. And that is another piece of why my brand is called Move&Grow. It's because I needed to move away physically from environment that was not good for me. I had to move away from limiting beliefs about myself, about who I am, and what I can or what I cannot do. I had to move from feelings that I've been carrying that were not mine, emotions that were not mine, and I had to move away from spiritual beliefs that were not mine. So that was a huge process of me rediscovering myself, and therefore the name. If you don't move, if you don't, and it's not only about dancing, but it's everything that's in inertia dies. So in order to grow, you need to keep moving, even tiny bit. So when I did this transformational journey, it started like 2018, like a massive, because I've been doing a lot of inner work before, but it was very mental. As you know, we'll do a lot of reading, and then we research, and then we get like all this information. But what we actually do is we get paralyzed with all this information, and we think that we heal in this way. That the more we know about ourselves, the better we are. But it's just a clutter. If it's not lived, if it's not processed, if it's not embodied, the knowledge we do, also if we don't regulate the nervous system, which is a big part of healing, then we just bypass. And that's something that I've learned the hard way on my own, through my own healing, when I started my certification, and that opened this box of hey, you're a perfectionist, it ruins your life, you're a control freak, you're totally, you have a lack of worth, you're validating yourself externally, you're people pleasing big time, you are the rescuer in your family, and that is burdening you to death. You need to change that. And that was so overwhelming. It was actually overwhelming, the amount of things that I had to deal with, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to process. But I'm very happy it happened for me, because this made me now. So now I can help people go through that process that's challenging.
Hey, my friends, thank you for being with us so far. I hope you're enjoying the interview. I just wanted to take a quick moment to let you know about our signature heartprint coaching. Our heartprint coaching is for you if you're ready to go all in on becoming a heart-centered leader, ready to go all in on doing more of what you love, ready to see what you are capable of with support, guidance, and accountability. You're ready to go on a rapid, transformational journey that will change your life and others in as little as 3 months. Are you ready to show up with courage and share your gift with the world? Ready to start making an income and more impact by doing what you love? Ready to start leaving your legacy where those around you are left better than yesterday? In our Heartprint signature coaching, in our time together, I'll help you lead from your heart set. I'll help you develop other people and your team. I'll help you bring your heart work to the world. I'll help you start leaving a legacy and capturing examples of your impact. I will help you be someone you love, to do more of what you love, and to serve people that you love. It's an amazing opportunity for someone who's ready to go all in and be a heart-centered leader. I'll throw in loads of other bonuses, including your life languages profile, access to our Master Heart and Mind membership, and even some Always Better Than Yesterday merchandise. Head to abty.co.uk/coaching to find out more, and I look forward to connecting with you very soon. That's abty.co.uk/coaching. Here we go. Back to the interview.
Yeah, that's powerful, and thank you for sharing that. And you posted recently about your 33rd birthday and how things have changed and different. And you used these two words. You talked about the energy that you're gaining from the alignment and the expansion. And I'd just love to know, what brought you into alignment? Is there anything specific, self-awareness? Is there, I know the whole box of embodiment and this journey that you've been on, but is there anything that specifically brought you out of that? Because you said earlier about you started to realize the conditioning, and that's a bit of a waking up moment, isn't it? When did you start to become aware of both the external influence and also the inner voice? When did you become aware of those two types of things?
So the first, I think, started when I was like 24, and just before I quitted my corporate job and I left Poland, I had like a inner conflict, and I didn't know how to resolve it. Like I felt something's off in my life. I just don't know what. I just feel trapped. Like if I don't change something, I'm gonna die. And all the symptoms that I had, which was insomnia and all anxiety, was just manifestation of my inner world. And that was the first kick in the butt, that you need to change something and you're out of alignment. Because when we are in alignment, our body is different. It has a different, we embody different qualities. So we feel more relaxed. We have an open posture. The breath is different. So back then my body was more tensed and contracted and ready to fight. And it was all opposite of relaxed, open embodiment. It was like embodiment of survival.
Hey friends, I just wanted to take a quick moment to introduce the new official sponsor of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast, Matt Media Online Marketing. Matt Media have been involved in the production of over 100 interview sessions. I highly recommend their services. Matt Media Online Marketing are an independent agency who specialize in content marketing, helping business owners get their message seen by the right audience. If you want your business seen through the power of social media, head to mattmedia.online. You can find the link in the show notes. And here we go. Back to the interview.
Sure. Are you a student of Mark Walsh?
Yes.
Yeah. So Mark was on the podcast last year, and Mark's just moved recently to a town locally. So I met Mark for lunch last week in person, which is but a small world, right?
Yes, but he's brilliant. Oh, that's so great. Yes, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love all his teachings. I took embodiment training from his company, so he was a teacher. So I really appreciate what he does. Yeah. Yeah, and I listen to his podcast as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With you said something earlier around high achievers, and I think you have a heart for their suffering. Why do you think high achievers are suffering at the moment?
I think that they suffer because the world is taking advantage of them. And they don't know how to escape that. And a mindset of a high achiever is, the more I do, the more I prove, the more appreciation I will get. But it's never happening, because this bar, you never achieve the bar, because the bar it just keep moving up. So no matter what you do, you never feel good enough, because there's always something changing. There's always another thing to achieve. There's another target, whether it's your looks, whether it's your job or your relationship or parenting, whatever. You can't reach the bar. So therefore high achievers have a hard time in the modern world that is very much competitive, and everything is about success. And success is defined in one way: money and status, and achievement in that way. So if you're not striving for that, and it's not your definition of success, and you don't know that it's your definition of success, so this is unaware, you're gonna suffer. Because if you know what's your definition of success, and you know, and you are working towards alignment to align your values and your definition of success with your lifestyle or your work or whatever you are contributing with, then you're fine. Then you have much more peace in your mind and body. But if you are unaware, then it becomes a problem.
I love that, because when you talk about alignment, we talk about heart, mind, body, right? And
Mm-hmm.
your I interviewed a wonderful lady called Maureen Murdoch, who wrote a book called The Heroine's Journey. One of the things that she says about the culture is that it entices women into this culture that gives this illusion of, hey, if you just perform more, if you just give more, if you contribute more, you can have all of this worldly adoration. And, you know, much like the masculine world that's been built, you know, you can be adored like that too if you just give your life to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so unfortunately, when they go out into the workplace, they give of themselves more than they get back, and it disconnects them from their soul, their heart work, and it disconnects them from their body. So I find it really interesting that you come back to this sense of getting into your body and the embodiment. Is that something that you recognize in your line of work, what I've just said?
Oh yeah, totally, 100%. Especially like for women, I think that the whole society, it's both women and men, we suffer. That's for sure. There is no, I don't want to say that women suffer more than men or men suffer more than women. The society suffers
Yeah.
because we are so disembodied, we are so disconnected from the body, because of the pace of life, because of the unrealistic expectations, because of yada 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 that society expects of us. And when we are like in one spectrum more than the other, so yin and yang, I'm probably sure you know what's yin and yang, so masculine and feminine energies. If we are in the masculine all the time, what's happening? A burnout. It's not sustainable. It needs to be balanced. Masculine and feminine energies, they need to be balanced in order to have healthy life and relationships. And modern society is mostly in masculine. So we are in performance and productivity and focus and very active lifestyle, never stopping. So we are like in the car, you have gas and the brake. We go gas nonstop, and it's inevitable we're gonna have a crash, because you can't drive a car only using gas, right? You need to brake. You need to use the brake. So feminine is like the brake, to be more present, to stop, to nurture, to care, to be in the body more than in the logical mind, because that's masculine energy, being logical. And we need both.
And we all have that, right? And every man, every woman has this balance of these two energies. And I think, you know, without any man, shall we say, rejecting this idea of being feminine or having feminine energy, it's simply just doing what you just said, which is taking that time to go, what's important to me? What do I care about? Who am I? Because Maureen, so Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero's Journey, which is very much in the world, whereas Maureen's heroine's journey is much more around the inner world. And I think that's something that we can all relate to, is that we have this physical way that we show up and the things that we do and the spaces and the places that we create. But then there's also that heart of, well, who am I whilst I'm doing these things? What's important to me about why I'm doing these things? And I think, you know, I've had some good men on the podcast recently being brave enough to talk about being heart-centered as men. And that's kind of what epitomizes for me a heart-centered man, is he's taken the time to go, who am I? What do I care for? What do I stand for? And is making that commitment to bring more of that to the world.
Yeah. Just simply stopping.
Right.
Taking a break and taking a breath and breathing and feeling, okay, how do I feel? What do I need? Just two simple questions. How do I feel? What do I need? And doing it 3-5 times a day. It's a beautiful practice to actually stop from being in the future, which we tend to be a lot, or in the past, and be in the present moment and appreciating and stopping and getting out of that autopilot, all this habitual stuff that we do.
I think that you talk about self-leadership. I think what you've just said is self-leadership, is the ability just to get off autopilot and be able to go, what do I need, and give myself that. What are some of the ways with which you like to help people lead themselves?
Move your body.
Right.
that's something that I stand for. It's literally my life.
Yeah.
And the way so I teach people skills. This is what I love. It's like I'm doing coaching. I'm doing therapy. I'm psychologist. I do online coaching. I do in-person events and online stuff. But I teach people skills. That's the base of my work. Is not to tell you what to do, but I'll teach you a skill that will improve your life. So I teach people self-regulation, how to take care of their nervous system, so they can actually be more present in their day-to-day lives. And so also to self-regulate on a daily basis. So when they're stressed out, they can actually respond, not react.
Yeah.
So instead of going into habitual reaction or coping strategies that are not healthy, we can actually stop, self-regulate, self-soothe emotionally, and make mindful decisions on how we're going to show up.
Yeah. How do people start to recognize when they are dysregulated? Is it dysregulated? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
How would people recognize when they're out of this regulated nervous system?
It's body. It's always the body that speaks louder. So let's say not I would say most of the people don't recognize when they're dysregulated. That's the problem. That's the issue, because we are so disembodied that we don't pay attention to our breath, to our posture, to heartbeat, to everything that the body sends as a signal that something is off. So the first step is actually to slow down and take that break, just to observe your body with kindness. Because what people tend to do is that they put judgment. Even if they are stressed out, then they add the judgment on top of that. Oh, I'm stressed out. And then they get even more dysregulated because they punish themselves for being stressed out. And that is something that I think the modern world misses the most, is compassion.
Right.
And compassion is feminine energy. So that's why I'm saying we are operating out of that logical, very rational, productivity based masculine energy, and that lacks compassion and acknowledgement of what's going on.
I want to pick up on the back of what you said around compassion being a feminine energy. I'm reading at the moment the Gospel of Mary, which isn't a well-known text, but in it talks about how at the crucifixion only the women were present. None of the disciples were present, or a very few were present. And the author kind of does an analysis of it and speaks to this idea that compassion is a feminine trait, because actually if you think about the masculine at their best, they're fixers, the problem solvers and fixers, right? And there's a guy on a cross right in front of you. You can't fix or solve that. So the ability, so compassion for me means to be with. Com means be with, and passion means suffering. So for us to be more compassionate, we have to learn how to be with others in their suffering. And I think the irony there is sometimes we need to be able to be with ourselves in our own suffering first, because I don't think we can meet others at the depths of them any further than we've met the depths of ourselves.
100%. And that's actually what Mark teaches. And what I also got from that training, embodiment training, is first, you are the first. So first you need to be able to have self-awareness, body awareness. You need to know how to self-regulate and show your self-compassion in order to take it into your relationships and communities. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So you're 100% correct. Compassion is key towards ourselves first.
And you work in the corporate space. How does this kind of extrapolate? How do we build on this from the individual to the level of the team when it comes to safety, when it comes to regulation?
That's a very complex problem for many reasons. and it goes to diversity in organization. That's the first thing. If we take it from the bird view perspective, an organization, first we need to see the diversity. So how many men women ratio is in the company. Then the leadership, what kind of leadership style you use. Is there it's more flat? Is it is there
hierarchical?
Hierarchy?
Yeah.
Yes. Because the more hierarchy you have in an organization, the more masculine it is.
Sure.
Yeah. So you will see more toxicity in general in organizations like that. So it's a complex thing to look at when we look on at organization, but usually it starts from leadership, from top, from the
Why
top.
do you think?
I always say that top is the most important to drive the healthy culture or toxic culture. And
What do you think of the
see
hallmarks? Yeah, what do you think of the hallmarks then of the toxicity?
Sorry?
What do you think of the hallmarks, the characteristics of that culture that becomes toxic?
So what qualities has what?
Yeah, how you said when there's more hierarchy, it becomes more toxic. What how might that manifest?
It can manifest in micromanagement. It can manifest in power dynamics, because someone has a different level of expertise or different level of seniority. So that affects organizations in terms of communication and productivity and
competition for promotion.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Lack of collaboration, sharing of ideas.
And also innovation.
Yeah.
Pure innovation. The more flat is the structure, the more ideas people bring to the table, because they have more psychological safety to do so. And when you have those those organizations with hierarchies, then there is much more politics involved and much more ego. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk from psychologists around psychological safety and trust being the foundation of all great teams. And I commented, I think it was on Amy Cuddy or someone's post recently, where she was talking, I think it was her, was talking about the importance of psychological safety. And I just said, I look forward to the day when psychologists come out and say that it's actually unconditional love that creates psychological safety and trust. I'd love to know what your thoughts are based on that. I know I've just hit you straight with it right now, but what's your perspective on love in leadership and love in the workplace?
So I don't believe in unconditional love at the workplace. That's the thing, because it is still transactional. So you go to work, you receive your time, and that's what we do, right? Unconditional love should be in your family. But when organizations say, we are here like family, no, you don't, you're not, because I'm still getting evaluated. I'm still getting, my performance affect my salary and my career development. So I might get fired if I don't perform. Therefore, it's conditional. And that should be transparent, that organizations are clear about that. We are not family. We respect each other. We work towards common goals, and we want to create a healthy, respectful environment for people to grow. But it's not unconditional.
I 100%. So I do believe in the essence of unconditional when it comes to leading people. But I completely understand that will fall down the minute you wrap around a culture that is performance based. Yes. I just love to understand then what you believe. If it's not a family, how does a leader create belonging, places and spaces where people feel like they belong?
By being in alignment first. Like if you are a leader of a team or an organization, you need to be well regulated. So you need to know how to manage with stress. You need to know how to self-express your feelings in a healthy way. You need to be able to expand your window of tolerance for multiple perspectives. And I think that's the biggest challenge of a human being, because that takes a lot of practice to be able to hold space for people who might not always agree with you. So leadership is a tough thing, and it's really tough to be a leader. It takes a lot of punches to become resilient and to lead with heart, mind, and spirit, to be able to stand your ground and be in alignment with your values, but also to leave the room for flexibility and multiple perspectives. And that's why I work a lot with the body and self-regulation, because through embodiment practices, through nervous system regulation, we can actually expand that window of tolerance, which is a window for stress.
Right.
In organizations, there's always conflict. There is there are setbacks. There are crises. And the better equipped we are as leaders to have resilience, and resilience is the ability to hold space for stress. So the bigger your window of tolerance is, the more you can take on, and it doesn't affect you. You can bounce back. It's bouncing back from adversity back to your baseline. So that's why I think that self-regulation, emotional self-expression, healthy self-expression, connection, to have vulnerability, that's a big one. The ability to show the parts of you that you're scared to show the most, for people to lead by example. For me, being a leader is showing your vulnerability and opening the door in that way for other people to do the same.
I think Brené Brown says that you cannot separate courage and vulnerability, and I think, the root of the word courage is cœur in French, which means heart. So I think courage, some people are saying in the world that courage is doing it scared. I don't think that's right definition. I think that's bravery, doing it scared. I think courage is doing it with heart. And when we do it with heart, it's with the essence of who we are, what we care about, what we stand for, our values, our gifts, our beliefs. So when we come up to the world in love, with love, from heart, we run the risk of being rejected. We run the risk of being ridiculed. We run the risk of being unaccepted and all these things. That's why it's vulnerable. But I think wonderful things happen when people display vulnerability, not as a strategy, not as a way of using emotions to manipulate people to do what you want, but as a way of genuinely connecting heart to heart with people.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And vulnerability, so there is no authenticity without vulnerability.
Right.
And that's something that I see a lot in organization. People still struggle the most, is to bring your whole self to work.
Yes.
It's really tough. People just wear mask. I'm going to work. I'm putting on mask. I'll do my job and I leave.
Well, that's because that's because we just show the bits, like you say, with the conditions. We're so familiar with the job advert, the job descriptions that say, hey, we want you to have these characteristics and qualities. But from the work that I've done over the years, the work, even with Dr. John DiMartini, when he came on the podcast back into last year, he says that you can't have a positive only magnet. Like, what he means is that we are polarity in ourselves. There is a light, which is all the stuff that the job wants of us that's good, but that will inevitably come with this shadow. And I just wonder whether an organization will be brave enough in future just to go, and here's what we'll tolerate, because you're going to get the shadow behavior anyway. But unless an organization and a leader is able to not only receive the good, but accept the shadow, you're never going to get full belonging, because you're only fitting in the good parts that I'm only allowed to bring.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I will circle back to what I said before, to the window of tolerance.
Yeah.
If you build up your window of tolerance for yourself,
right,
to accept your own shadow.
Yes.
That's something that I do a lot in my work with people, with my group coaching, with my individual coaching. Loving the parts of yourself that you don't want others to see.
Right.
That is the hardest part of healing. That is the hardest part of self-development.
Yes.
It's not to become the best version of yourself. It's about allowing the bad version of yourself to be loved and to be accepted. And if you expand that capacity for yourself, you will not seek that approval as much outside. You will not care about that as much. So maybe at work you won't even need that anymore. But it is vital, because we are a social species. We want to belong in the workplace. And I think this is what's really changing right now after pandemic, and people not coming back to offices, or being very reluctant to do so, is for companies to take a different approach towards leadership and towards belonging, to really encourage that psychological safety, to look at mental health and physical health. I would love them to look at the holistic health, how to create cultures, work environments that have psychological safety, and people actually can bring their whole self to work, and not always pretend I'm fine, but actually be able to say, hey, I feel like shit today, but I'll you want to talk about it? No, I'm fine.
Yes.
But I'm just not good. No, I'm not going to be happy.
But I'm bringing my human. I'm bringing my whole human.
Yeah. You
talk about healthy workplace culture being a balance of well-being and performance. How does an organization strike the balance? It's a shame that we've got to make the case for well-being, but where do you find that balance?
So the balance maybe is not the best word, but how do we actually bring well-being to work? It's first of all leadership. It always starts leading by example. So if I had a case, someone contacted me for consultancy when it comes to culture, and they wanted to implement some breaks at work, and they wanted to give some tools for employees to incorporate those healthy breaks in their organization. But then I asked them some questions around the whole, how does that work in everyday life? How is your management doing? How the organization works? And then I found out that most of the people are overworked, that they've been there for 20 years, that management is not going to do that. It's going to go from bottom up. And I'm like, that's not going to work. You want to give them healthy breaks when they are loaded with work till here, and then you want to add up breaks in their already full day. That's not going to work. And then we talked about it, like, okay, maybe you should redefine what you really need. What are the real changes? What is the real need of that company? Maybe you need more workforce. Maybe you need different reorganization. The structure needs to be different of teams and how they work, because you cannot just put a plaster on an open wound and pretend that, oh, now we're going to do some healthy breaks. I mean, I believe in healthy breaks. It's something that I will also want to work in the future. And I believe in moving your body and having that movement incorporated in your work day. But it needs to come hand in hand with some basic understanding of how people work And if they are overloaded with stuff, they're not going to think about taking a break. That will be the last thing they're going to think about. So, well-being. I would start with psychoeducation and training, and making it a priority for the leadership to understand the importance of them taking care of themselves. Because if they don't understand it, they're going to expect, if they what they know is abuse, they will pass that. They will expect the abuse from their employees. I've been in organizations like that. I've been toxic myself. And I've been leading people too. And I've been expecting this from my coworkers. So it needs to happen on the top. The whole organization needs to be engaged in well-being practices. There must be an education about health, holistic health, about how to manage stress, how to recognize stress early before it's too late. We have a big issue in Denmark with sick leaves when it comes to stress. It's a huge issue. And yet, still, organizations are not doing anything to prevent that and to teach people how to identify stress early so they don't go on a sick leave, because that costs a lot of money, taxpayers' money. But this is changing slowly. I see that it's being taken more seriously now with a lot of awareness. But as I say, awareness is not enough. There is action is needed, because people are suffering, and they suffer in silence most of the time.
I used the word ACT, ACT, which starts with the awareness, then the actual choice of doing something. And then those two things together make the transformation possible. If we want to get to the transformation, we can't just have the awareness. We have to be making choices to do something that leads us one step closer to that. You describe yourself as a multi-passionate.
Yes.
I'd just love to know what kind of freedom you gain from having that multi-passionate expression.
I'll circle back to feminine and masculine energies.
Yeah.
Because this is super important. So in my past, I thought that I can just do some of the things, because I took certain education. I've been working within some leadership, so I need to stick around that because that's what I know and that's what I'm known for. But that didn't feel good. It literally, I had a huge resistance in my body and my mind to just be boxed in some, now you're psychologist, so you only work as a psychologist. And I love diversity in everything. My life is very diverse, from my circle of friends to my lifestyle to the way I travel. Everything I do is very diverse. So it couldn't be any different than incorporating that in my work. So up until some point, I was in leadership, and I finished psychology, but then I started exploring. Okay, I need to go and see if I like this thing, because how do I know what I like if I haven't tried many things yet? So I went into that exploration. I tried different types of jobs. I was a bartender, I was a waitress, I was a hostess, I was a model, I was many, many different things. And then I found out that I actually have a lot of passion to many things, and that I have a lot of joy of trying new things and then being good at it, and then moving on to the next thing. But that didn't happen overnight. It was a process of me reconnecting with my feminine energy, which is a creative energy. So let's say up until I was like 28, I thought that I'm just not a creative person.
Same.
That I thought that I can do certain tasks. I can be very efficient, very productive, but I just don't have that trait. That is just, I'm just not creative. That's it.
Yeah.
And then through body movement and groove, I reconnected with my feelings. I reconnected with my body. And I suddenly realized that I can create things.
Yeah.
So I can design a workshop that is about confidence and using music as a tool, dance as a tool, design the whole experience for 90 minutes for people to actually process things. And I would never expect that I can do this because I always thought I'm not creative. Yeah. It's just because I was disconnected from my creativity for so long because I was operating out of masculine energy. So the more I started reconnecting with with being present and with being in my body and listening to my intuition and being guided by my intuition, I started creating amazing things. It's master classes, it's team building, workshops, all sort of different things that I thought I just didn't have talent to. So that was a big discovery. And now I used to be ashamed of being so all over the place, that I love so many things, but now I'm actually proud of it because I'm a one-person orchestra. I can literally do so many things and do it for the first time and being so good at it. And people are asking me, so sometimes I'm getting a little anxious. So after performing something, a speaking gig or a workshop or something that I've never done before with a subject I never worked before, and then I ask for feedback and I'm like, this is actually something I did for the first time. People are like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Isn't it something that you do every day? I'm like, no, I actually did it for the first time. And then they're like, okay, so you're naturally gifted. No. I just did so many different things. I used to be a karaoke DJ.
Right. Yeah.
I literally, that's how I picked up the mic, and I have no problem public speaking anymore because I was talking to drunk people and singing with them for a long time.
Yeah.
So it is building your capacity, your window of tolerance for what you can do and what you believe, and believing in yourself that it's okay. Well, I'll approach it as an experiment. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah. I love that. I love that mindset. It's a great mindset shift, isn't it? It's that that shift from why me to why not me.
Exactly. And even if you're not great at it, I mean, it's an experience. Doesn't matter.
And it's given ourselves the freedom and permission to do that and be of use and serve other people and see what transformations we can facilitate. And I think sometimes if you were to take a step back and look at the overarching connection between all of your passions, is there something that connects them all? Is there I use the word heartprint, which is the effect, the transformation, the possibilities that we create through the work that we do. How would you look at your heartprint? How would you describe the impact that you have on people?
Good question. That's a very good question. I would narrow it down to freedom and courage to love yourself unconditionally. That's something that I work a lot. And that's something that I hear the most from people who attend my classes or people who got into my coaching or somehow end up working with me. Is that they feel accepted and that they can be themselves. And that they get some sort of loving energy that stays with them and open their hearts to showing up, so they can show up in more liberated and authentic, and they can accept themselves with all their flaws in their basic humanity. So we are all flawed, and the more we can actually show that to other people, the more permission we give to each other to show up like this. Like, I'm not perfect, and I have I've been a perfectionist, and I am sometimes still. I catch myself with this pattern, and breaking from that was the most liberating thing I've ever done in my life. And that's why I want to teach other people how to break free from that perfectionism trap, which is actually rooted, it's rooted in shame. And getting rid of that shame, or being at peace with it, so it doesn't bother you anymore. Yeah.
Powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Where can people connect with you? Where can they find out more about your heart work?
Yes, Instagram. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I have a website, the www.moveandgrow.co. There's no M in the end. Yeah, but most of the time, Instagram and LinkedIn. That's where I am the most.
I shall include all those links in the show notes.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking time out your day. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I could talk to you all afternoon, but that would not be a good use of your time. So just be honored if you would leave us a final thought from your good self.
A final thought?
Yes, please.
Take a deep breath. Maybe place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Feel your body. And say in your first language, I'm safe. Take a deep breath. And let that sink in. Building up safety from inside out.
Yes. I love that.
Leading from your heart.
Love that, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully we can do a bit of more work in the future together.
Definitely.
And thank you for creating that space and doing your work. I love your podcast. I've just yesterday been listening to some of the wrap up that you have on YouTube from last year, and I really love that. I need to get back to I think it was John Gray and Bruce Lipton that I really wanted to hear, and I was actually surprised that Bruce Lipton podcast was
yes
banned?
Yes, censored. Yes,
Well, I'm like, oh my god, I love this guy, he's so smart. It's like, whoa, all right.
Bruce Lipton was cell biologist for 60 years, and somehow saying something wrong, about his profession. It's amazing what happens when you have a different opinion to the mainstream narrative, I guess.
It's unbelievable. And now it gets me into even like, I want to hear it more because it's censored.
Right. So
it has the power.
Yeah, powerful, isn't it? Anyway, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it to the end of the interview here on YouTube. I hope that our time spent together has left you a little bit better than before you push play. Before you go anywhere, please leave a comment down below. Some of your key reflections, your key takeaways. I love hearing from you and what this conversation has inspired in you. Let me know what you're going to do as a result of this conversation. I will be back next Wednesday where I will share another inspiring guest. To make sure that you don't miss that, please do subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified as soon as it goes live. If you're curious to know how I, through Always Better Than Yesterday, can serve you, your team, your organization, please do visit alwaysbetterthanyesterday.com, and it will be my honor and privilege to help you in any way I can. Keep leading, my friends. I've been Ryan Hartley, host of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast here on YouTube. Always love.